Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, we're going to be covering the full story to what if Naruto had Obito's Kamui. Now, I know that some of you guys hearing that might be like, wait, Xehther, is this finally the continuation to what if Naruto had Obito's eyes? And yes, that's exactly what this is. After scrolling through the channel for a little bit and re-watching that series, I just couldn't help but coming back and finishing the series once and for all. So finally, I'm going to be giving you guys what if Naruto had a phase Genkai, because it can't exactly be Obito's eyes considering the fact that that wouldn't exactly make sense. So Naruto's gonna be having Obito's powers, but not via the Sharingan, which is kind of gonna disappoint a lot of you guys, but still, the story itself is immaculate. So if you guys go on to enjoy this video, then leave a like on it, seeing as that really does help out the channel so much more than you would think. So with all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy. Hajime, Iruka would say, as Naruto and Sasuke would immediately rush at each other. In this moment, they're both in the academy, and each one is trying to outdo the other. Sasuke, not so much, but Naruto, this battle means more than something to him. This battle means everything, because here, he finally gets to prove that Sasuke isn't this big and bad, strong person that everybody thinks he is. He's not that cool, Naruto would be thinking, and he would rush in and throw a punch, when suddenly, Naruto would literally feel himself fall into an endless void, as Naruto's clothes would immediately slip off, and Naruto would just literally feel himself sinking. In this moment, Sasuke would be wondering where Naruto went, seeing nothing but his clothes behind, as Naruto would feel himself literally struggling, grasping at oxygen, wanting to breathe, when suddenly he would shoot back up into the surface, as Naruto would be gasping for air, literally on his hands and knees coughing. But it would be at this moment that everybody in class would start laughing at Naruto, everybody pointing at him, as Kiba would say, "Look, it's the little beast of the leaf," as everybody would start laughing even harder, and Naruto would be sitting there wondering what's so funny, when suddenly he sees his clothes in front of him in a pile, as he would realize that he's naked. Immediately, Naruto would rush towards his clothes, cover his no-no square, and run off, as everybody in the class would be laughing at him, all except one, a specific girl who is beetroot red. She is literally so red right now in the face, and she just straight up passes out into unconsciousness. Everybody would turn to her and be like, "Hinata, are you okay?" As Naruto would run off home, and once he would make his way there, he would slam the door, as he would think to himself, "I'm never gonna live this down." Naruto would grab at his hair and begin yanking it, just being like, "Ah, Sasuke, what did you do? I'm gonna find out what jutsu you used, and I'm gonna make you pay." When suddenly Naruto would literally phase into the building, like so look at it this way. Naruto's apartment system is two areas. So there's the top floor, and then there's the bottom floor. And Naruto's living in like a sort of like apartment complex sort of thing, right? So Naruto phases down, and just imagine that your upstairs neighbor literally falls down just butt booty naked. That's literally what happens. Naruto falls down, and immediately Naruto would be greeted to this lady and her husband, as he straight up gets kicked out of the house, literally, by the dude, as Naruto would be sent out of there, and Naruto would say, "Hey, it's not my fault, it's not my fault." Naruto in this moment would sit there and be so embarrassed. Now, not only did everybody in the academy see him, but even his downstairs neighbors did. Oh, Naruto would be thinking, as suddenly he would realize that he needs to ask Hiruzen for some help. He would go to Hiruzen's office and tell him about all this embarrassing stuff that's been happening to him lately, as Hiruzen would ask what he's talking about. There's no such jutsu that can make somebody phase through the ground. The only thing he can think of is the headhunter jutsu, but even then he wouldn't lose his clothes, he would just be sunken into the ground. Naruto would be like, "I'm telling you, Sasuke did something. He did, as he just finally runs out of energy, and he's like, "Dang it, old man, I need help. Everybody's making fun of me, and I need some sort of help. How do I stop this?" Hiruzen looks at him and thinks that he's just, like making some dumb story up to waste his time. So he looks at him and goes, "Naruto, can you please get out of my office? This is not that big of a deal, Naruto. If suddenly being naked is such a problem, then pack some clothes, Naruto. Come on." And Naruto would straight up just be taken out of the office by Hiruzen, as Naruto would scream out so loud, being like, "Dang it!" And suddenly everybody around would watch him, as Naruto's like, "My bad." He would immediately rush towards Ichiraku's ramen shop, as he would think to himself, what could have happened? What could have happened? What did Sasuke do? And so for the following next 2 years, which means that Naruto would now be 11 years old, Naruto would just have this happen every now and then, where he'll be chilling and out of nowhere, he'll phase through stuff, phase through people. Sometimes he'll be carrying something large and it'll just go right through his body, fall to the ground. Let's say he's doing his laundry, boom, it literally just slipped through his fingers and it all hits the ground and it's dirty now and he has to rewash it. All these common annoyances would grow and grow and grow and grow more, to the point where everybody finally starts realizing that Naruto needs to stop running around naked everywhere. So here's what would happen. Naruto would pretty much be told by Hiruzen that he doesn't know exactly what's going on, but he needs Naruto to stop going around everywhere naked. So as far as he's concerned, he needs some help. I don't know what it is that you have, Naruto, but it seems to me like it's some sort of strange pervy KK Genkai. As Naruto would say, it's not a pervy KK Genkai, old man, with Hiruzen saying, sure. As he would then say, look, I have some good news for you and some bad news. The good news is that you're going to be training under Kakashi Hatake. The bad news is you're going to be training under Kakashi Hatake. As Naruto would be like, great, so when am I going to meet this guy? And then suddenly Kakashi would make his presence known behind Naruto, as he would tap him and have an Anbu mask on, with Naruto quickly turning around going, huh? Who are you? And Kakashi taking the mask off as he would smile at Naruto with his eye and be like, I'm Kakashi, I'll be training you from now on. Naruto looking towards Kakashi would be like, well, that's good, but how exactly are you gonna help me stop phasing through things? And Kakashi would say, there's a couple of ways to do it, but for now, we have to get started. As for the following next 2 years, which means Naruto would finally be 13, and thus would finally find ourselves in the beginning of the anime, Naruto would have barely learned at this point, mind you, barely, after 2 years of constant training, constant struggle, Naruto doing his absolute best at trying to stop this, would barely be able to literally just not phase through things at random. That's what he would have accomplished. Now Naruto is not able to just phase through things like crazy and lose his clothes. Naruto, after 2 years of training with Kakashi, mind you, not always, because Kakashi has missions, so Kakashi would drop by every now and then, give Naruto some pointers, teach him a couple of jutsus as well, and that's all that Naruto would have learned basically. So at this point, Naruto knows all of water walking, tree walking, how to not phase through the earth and basically die, and also just a couple basic wind jutsus, like 2 or 3. That's literally all Naruto learned over these past 2 years. So yeah, nothing too crazy, but you know, it'll help Naruto out a lot. It'll at least like keep him a little balanced to Sasuke, even though Sasuke could still wipe the floor with him, if he could land a hit. Because one more thing that Naruto learns is how to straight up just phase through attacks. Naruto still hasn't learned how to hit with his phasing ability, but he knows how to just phase through attacks. That's all he knows. So say a huge attack is coming at him, Naruto can just phase through it entirely and come back out hoping that the attack isn't still going on. So say Naruto's facing off against Kakashi and Naruto sees this gigantic fireball shooting at him and he phases through it and he comes back out, but Kakashi shoots a water style jutsu at him. That will hit him because he can't react fast enough. That's how Naruto's abilities work at this moment. And now I'm pretty sure you have a question on your mind. Hey Xehther, is this permeation? This does not sound a lot like Kamui. He's not going to a dimension, he's just permeating through things. And to that I have to say, yeah, I'm sorry guys. I actually am. I'm sorry. I was trying to find a way to make this what if work, but honestly, there's no way to do it. Hear me out. There's one way of making Obito actually die and Naruto's just his reincarnation, and because he's his reincarnation, he's going to be gaining access to the Sharingan, and because he's gaining access to the Sharingan, Naruto's going to have this crazy traumatic situation happen so that now Naruto's able to have access to the Sharingan and Kamui. But hear me out. That just didn't seem that cool to me. Honestly, that just feels like redoing what if Naruto was an Uchiha. And since I've already done that, I didn't exactly feel like doing that. Oh, my shameless plug. Go check out my What If Naruto Was an Uchiha video. That thing is fire. I have 2 versions, a long version and a short edited version. So get to that. But second of all, it just didn't work low-key because adding another character like Kamui to the story would not only remove Obito, which means that the main thread of the story would low-key be gone, but if I just gave Naruto the Kamui because I made him an Uchiha, that's not exactly how the universe itself works. Like, 2 people can't have the same Mangekyo ability unless they're having the same eyes. So I was struggling greatly to make this thing happen until I finally realized, wait, the reason that people are going to click on this video isn't because it's necessarily Obito's Kamui, but because of the ability, the busted hacks ability of just being able to phase through attacks. So I was like, let's give Naruto something similar where it still feels like Kamui, but it's not quite Kamui, right? Because all Obito can do is phase through things and like shoot himself out at a different location, right? That's the same thing that this ability is going to be doing, except we're going to be doing this without the extremely sad backstory where Naruto has to lose an arm, a leg, an eye, everything part of his, basically every single part of his body, every single friend he's ever known. Not only that, but his enemies are actually going to do that in front of him, and they're also going to kill his pet cockroach. None of that has to happen. Now, Naruto just gets to work extremely, and I can't preface this enough, extremely hard, just to get to the point where he's going to be able to be OP. So yeah, if you like this story so far, then keep watching. If not, I'm sorry for clickbaiting y'all, but I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Anyways, back into the story. I failed again, Naruto would say as he would stay there in the back of the class looking at the paper that just told him that, yeah, he failed. Naruto in this moment would be approached by Mizuki, who would look at him and say, hey Naruto, don't worry about it. If you failed, I have another way you can become a genin. He would say with a smile internally, right? As Naruto would look at him and say, really? There's another way? Well, he would think to himself in his head, Kakashi never told me about that. As from here, Mizuki would go on to explain the process of stealing the scroll of sealing, learning one jutsu inside of it, and giving it to him inside of the forest. As Naruto, once he hears that, would think to himself, oh, sounds easy enough? And so Naruto would begin preparing to do this. Making his way home, he would actually make a stop at Kakashi Sensei's place, where he would end up asking Kakashi if he has any tips and tricks on stealing the scroll of sealing. Kakashi, after hearing that, would be like, what are you talking about, Naruto? As Naruto would tell him, yeah, Mizuki Sensei told me that if I steal the scroll of sealing and I give it to him, he'll make me a genin. Isn't that true, Kakashi? Kakashi would look at him, facepalm, and be like, Naruto, you dummy. I'm so glad you told me before this all went out of control. He would tell Naruto not to worry about it, as Kakashi would then tell Naruto that he'll put in a good word and make sure he passes. As from here, this is actually going to be a lot cooler than what we get in the original, because instead of the usual thing where Naruto's always constantly the one stealing the scroll, beating Mizuki up, I'm going to be having it so where Kakashi, using the transformation jutsu, would actually take the scroll of sealing under the orders of Hiruzen because he would tell him what's going on. And so because of that, Kakashi would make his way towards the forest where eventually Mizuki would end up arriving. And Mizuki would end up telling Naruto, good Naruto, you stole the scroll, hand it over and I can make you a genin. So Naruto would grab this scroll, toss it towards the direction of Mizuki, as Mizuki would grab a giant shuriken right after he would catch it and toss it at the direction of Naruto, saying, you fool! Throwing this gigantic shuriken, Naruto would stand there still looking at it as he would catch it with one hand, and Mizuki would be like, what? As Kakashi would undo the transformation jutsu, revealing himself to be Kakashi Hatake, with Mizuki being like, wait, we can talk about this, But Kakashi was having none of it, and so he ended up taking Mizuki out, taking him back to Hiruzen where he would take the dead body, and eventually the very next day Team 7 would be announced, or the team, right? The team would be just the same as it is in the original, Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, and the introductions would go by just like they do in the original. Naruto's goal is still to become Hokage, since Naruto's dreams haven't exactly changed. Naruto only now had the added bonus of having an even more difficult life, considering the fact that for a couple of years, Naruto had to deal with a couple inconveniences, to put it lightly. And so after this would end up taking place, the team would then be told about taking the bell test the next day, and everybody would end up arriving to the training grounds right on time, except for Naruto, because Naruto's more than well aware of the fact that Kakashi, he's never on time. So Naruto would end up showing up 2 hours later, right before Kakashi would arrive, with Sasuke and Sakura being upset at the fact that Naruto got more sleep than them, and Naruto having a huge smile on his face saying that Kakashi should be arriving in about 30 minutes. As from here, the group would wait, and eventually Kakashi would end up making his presence known. From here, what would end up going down is Kakashi would explain the rules of the bell test, but because Naruto knows Kakashi and he understands how powerful he is, Naruto's not going to make the dumb mistake of rushing at him blindly, even with this new ability that he has. Keep in mind, Naruto still isn't able to use his Kamui ability throughout specific parts of his body. It's all or nothing. Nerf. Anyways, sponsor aside, imagine Nerf sponsoring me. No, anyways, what would pretty much go down is that Naruto would hide alongside Team 7, just like they do in the original, and right after this would happen, Naruto would be like, psst, psst, as he would call over to Sakura, who would say, what do you want, Naruto? We're hiding, don't you see? With Naruto saying, I get it, but look, to beat him, we have to work together. I've tried fighting him before and there's no way that any of us are gonna land even a blow on him. With Sasuke saying, that might be true for you, Naruto, but for me, I'll make sure I get a bell and pass. You two can just try your best not to get in my way. Sakura, after hearing that, would be pretty disappointed, as Naruto would turn to Sasuke and say, alright then Sasuke, how about you try to take him out by yourself? Go ahead, go on, do it. It's not like he's doing anything right now, he's just reading that dumb Makeout Paradise series. As Sasuke would say, Makeout Paradise? And so he's like, whatever, fine Naruto, watch this. Sasuke would say that before he proceeds to get absolutely mollywopped. And then right after this, he would end up finding himself tied to the post, with Naruto asking him if it was worth it, before then suddenly hearing Kakashi behind him, who would end up telling him that no, it wasn't, before tying Naruto up to one of the posts as well, and Sakura would be the last one left behind. Eventually, Sakura would just straight up stay hidden until lunchtime came around, and Sakura was the only one that was able to eat. Because of this, she would obviously end up giving some food to Sasuke because, I mean, if he's not passing, she's not passing either. And Naruto, watching this happen, would just phase out of the poll as he would go on to grab one of the plates of food and tell them that to pass this test, they need to work together. There's no way they're going to be beating him on their own. As from here, they would take a couple of bites of food, make a plan, and end up hiding again, with Kakashi returning, not finding them there, as Kakashi would have a giant smile on his face, and from here, the team would end up ambushing him, Sakura throwing a couple shuriken at the direction of him, Sasuke coming in with a fireball jutsu, and Naruto coming in with a bunch of shadow clones at the direction of Kakashi, which some of them would actually permeate to the ground and then shoot back up as they're trying to land a blow at Kakashi, trying to be discreet about it, but it just didn't work, and Naruto just stood there all naked like usual. Eventually, Kakashi ends up dodging everything, dismantling their attack, and tying them back up to the posts, where Kakashi would look at them and say, you passed, before everybody would be like, what? And he explains, yeah, you passed. The purpose of this test wasn't to pin you guys up against each other, it was to see if you guys would be able to work together when everything was stacked against you, and you were able to. So as far as I'm concerned, you are the new Team 7. And Naruto would be super excited because of the fact that he knows that this is literally Kakashi's first team. Plus, Kakashi's gonna keep being his master. He's gonna keep training him. So Naruto was over the moon excited. And so after this, we would get 2 weeks worth of worthless missions, as eventually we would get assigned the Tazuna Bridge Builder mission. And eventually we would find ourselves in the perspective of Naruto, as everybody would be walking towards the land of the waves. Eventually, Team 7 would come across a little puddle in the road, as they would walk right past it, only to then be ambushed by the Demon Brothers, who, using again Jutsu, they would rush in, killing Kakashi. As from here, Sasuke would jump into action, but Naruto would do so as well, as he would rush in at one of the Demon Brothers, throwing a kick at him, setting him back a bit, as he would rush back in towards Naruto, but Naruto would phase through him, as Sasuke, coming in from behind Naruto, would end up landing a fireball jutsu on him, taking him out completely. As from here, Kakashi would reveal he was never really dead, and so the team would continue going forward with the mission, as eventually we would get Tazuna popping up, throwing his gigantic blade at the team, with Kakashi saying, "Everybody duck!" Eventually everybody would do so, and Zabuza would make his presence known, before the iconic Zabuza vs Kakashi battle would go down just like it does in the original. Because of that, this means that Kakashi would still be trapped in the water prison, and it would be up to Naruto and Sasuke to be the ones to free him. Eventually they would do so just like they do in the original, and we would get Kakashi vs Zabuza Part 2. This doesn't really matter because Naruto wasn't able to actually use his crazy abilities here, and so we're going to be skipping straight to the next battle that takes place on the bridge, because I don't exactly want to just recap Naruto, I want to tell a story. And so we would find ourselves on the bridge battle scene, as what would pretty much end up going down is that after Naruto would take out the two goons that were going after Inari and Tsunade, Naruto rushes inside of the crystal ice mirror, and Haku would begin throwing Senbon after Senbon after Senbon after Senbon. This time around, Sasuke doesn't actually have to save Naruto, which is a very good thing, because Naruto was able to, instead of being saved by Sasuke, Naruto would actually pretend to be hit by all of the Senbon needles, as he would fall down onto the ground and pretend to be dead, just like Obito did when Sasuke would have slashed him in the Deidara versus Sasuke fight. And so Haku would hyper focus on Sasuke in this battle, and she would even ask Sasuke why he's not focusing on the fact that he just lost his friend. Does he not care about him, he would think? As from here, Sasuke would say, "It's not that I don't care about Naruto, it's that he's okay," as Haku would be like, "What?" this, but turning around quickly as he would have jumped in there to land like a finishing blow on Sasuke, Naruto would come flying in and land a punch square in the face of Haku, cracking the mask and sending him flying into one of the ice mirrors. As from here, Haku would be like, very clever trick, but you're gonna need more than that to help you. As from here, Haku would jump into one of the ice mirrors and throw multiple senbons at the direction of Naruto, not playing any games. Each one of them would eventually end up landing since Naruto wasn't able to just sit there phasing through that whole time. He had to come out for air, and the second he did so, Naruto got skewered like a kebab. Following this, Naruto would sit there and be completely taken out, or so it would feel like, as Haku would begin to take Sasuke out, but in the midst of doing that, a chakra would begin swelling up in the area, and Haku would realize that it was none other than Naruto, as Naruto would stand up slowly with the Nine Tails chakra creeping up behind him, and he would punch Naruto straight out of one of the mirrors, sending him crashing into the ground, with him letting a roar out and rushing back towards Haku, who in this moment would try to fight back by throwing a senbon at him, but Naruto rushes right through this senbon, literally not even aware that he's doing this, just like Obito was when he like let his rage take over and he like killed a bunch of those ninjas. He would just dismantle Haku in that moment, taking him out completely, because mind you, Haku wasn't about to spare Naruto. Naruto realized Haku was about to kill him, so Naruto's not about to do Haku any favors. Naruto takes Haku out completely, and so Zabuza would be taken out completely in tandem by Kakashi's Chidori, or the 1,000 Birds Jutsu, which I personally like to call it. Because of this, Zabuza won't actually be the one present to take out Gato and his men, and instead, an enraged Naruto would. It's not like he's gonna go through them and kill them or anything, but he is gonna land a lot of blows on them, much like what Obito would have done in the original, where he phases through attacks, phases through swords, and just lands blow after blow after blow after blow. Naruto is not fighting on his own accord. He's sort of on autopilot right now, and he literally phases through sword attacks just like Obito would have done when he first activated his Kamui ability, and he just dismantles Gato and all of his men as he finally gets to Gato, and Naruto is just not even playing games with him. He straight up punches Gato into the water, and then all of his men would drop down into the ground unconscious, as the people of the village would end up grabbing Gato, doing whatever it is that they think he deserves, and then basically thanking Naruto for saving them from this situation, as the bridge would still be named the Great Naruto Bridge like it is in the original, and Naruto would fall into unconsciousness as Kakashi would catch him with one arm, and eventually Naruto would wake up in the village, or when they're basically outside of the village borders, right? Naruto would wake up just in time to brief Hiruzen on the mission, and Kakashi would even end up telling Naruto what he witnessed when Naruto tapped into the power of the Nine Tails, explaining to Naruto how insanely overpowered that attack was, and how he doesn't think he could have even been able to stop Naruto if Naruto would have gone crazy and turned on them. Naruto, after being told that, would say that wasn't him. He wasn't even aware he was doing that, with Kakashi saying he understands that, and that was more than clear by the way that he was using his phasing ability. And so Naruto and Kakashi for the next week would basically work on trying to imitate that any way, shape, or form, but ultimately they're not able to do that. What they're pretty much able to do is pretty much make it so that Naruto, instead of just phasing and not being able to attack back, now Naruto would be able to phase and jump back out with like so much speed and force that landing a blow after jumping out of the phasing dimension, Naruto would land a blow that is like 5 times stronger than the one that he would normally land. So say like if he was to fight Neji again and phase through the ground and pop back up, boom, that blow is gonna land like way harder than basically with the same amount of force and power that the one that we get in the original lands. So I guess now we know how Naruto's gonna beat Neji, but for now, we're now gonna be covering the Chunin exams. And so what would pretty much go down is just like you would expect. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, they walk through the Genin Tower, right? As they're there, and they would eventually run into Team Guy, as Lee still ends up challenging Sasuke like he does in the original. And this would lead to Sasuke losing his first fight, as eventually after this would take place, they would have the written exam, as Naruto, still being his usual self, would end up giving a massive speech to basically raise everybody's spirits so that more people pass, and eventually we would get the Forest of Death section. And the first order of business would be deciding who the team captain's going to be for now, with Naruto saying that it should be him because he's the strongest, but Sasuke would scoff at that and say, what's power if you don't know how to use it? Plus, Naruto, we have to admit that I'm the more strategic one here. I think it's fair that I should be team captain. Naruto would retaliate to this, but Sakura, being her usual self, would be like, come on Naruto, just let Sasuke be the leader. He's the smartest one here after all. Plus, he's the one that's gonna save us from everything. With Naruto gritting his teeth and be like, that's not fair. As eventually they would make their way through the forest, and after stealing the scroll that they need successfully and making their way towards the direction of the tower, they would end up feeling a massive chakra coming their way. It'd be in this moment that Orochimaru would make his presence known, and he would stare down Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura as he would say, my, look what I found, a young Uchiha. Orochimaru would have Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura frozen in fear. The only thing that they can feel at this moment is death. And it's like every single part of their bodies is screaming at them to run away, to get out of that situation, like they're gonna die. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation like that where you genuinely feel like you're gonna die and you just feel the aura of death in the air. That's exactly what they're feeling. Orochimaru's bloodlust is off the chart scary, and since they've never encountered nothing like this is terrifying. Not to mention, the way that Orochimaru looks is making them even more scared. In that moment, Naruto would turn to Sasuke with as much strength and willpower as he can, and he would say, Sasuke, can you? And he would see that Sasuke is frozen, as Sasuke would grab a kunai and stab himself in the leg, forcing himself to move. Naruto, seeing that, would do the same, as Sasuke would grab onto Sakura and jump out of the way, as 100 snakes would come shooting at their direction, and Naruto jumps on top of a tree, as he would say, hey, what's up with that bloodlust? You trying to kill us or something? But Orochimaru wouldn't say anything, as he just smiles, licking his lips, and Naruto says, what does that mean? As Orochimaru would shoot towards the direction of Naruto, causing him to freeze in place, as Sasuke has to throw a kunai right at the direction of Naruto and between Orochimaru, which causes him to back off slightly, as Naruto would barely be able to jump out of the way, and he would see Orochimaru there staring at him, with Naruto not knowing what to do. It would be in this moment that Naruto would realize that he needs to get out of there. So the first thing that Naruto would do is phase through the tree, land on the ground, and run away as fast as he can, phasing into the ground as he jumps back up near Sasuke and Sakura and asks what in the world they're going to be doing, with Orochimaru summoning this gigantic snake that would begin hunting them down, using its sense of smell to figure out exactly where they are. The group would be terrified and trying to figure out any way, shape, or form to get out of this situation, but it's just looking like they can't. And from here, Orochimaru would bust through the tree that they're hiding behind, as he would say, there you are. Suddenly, the snake would shoot towards the direction of Naruto, swallowing him whole, as Naruto would phase right through said snake, and he would immediately escape, covered in a bit of slime, with Sasuke jumping from tree to tree, and Sakura going along with him, saying, Sasuke, I'm scared. But Sasuke is just as scared as Sakura, and in this moment, Sasuke would be about to actually get bitten by Orochimaru, who would have his neck outstretched. In that moment, Sasuke just couldn't do anything. He was frozen with fear and he just couldn't get over it, and Naruto was too far to do a thing about it. So Orochimaru would end up biting down on Sasuke's neck, giving him the curse mark, with Sasuke falling from an extremely high height, hitting the ground with a loud thud, with Naruto watching all this in shock, realizing that he just failed his team. He was going on earlier about how he should be team captain, but he definitely shouldn't be. Some team captain he would have turned out to be couldn't even protect his friends, his comrades, and now Sakura is gonna... But Orochimaru would leave her alone, saying she's too weak to be even pestered with Sakura falling to her knees and thinking, I'm too... As she's thinking that, Naruto would have his entire life just pause, as it almost feels like time would freeze in that moment, and as this is happening, Naruto's claws would begin getting longer and longer. His whiskers would begin getting more animalistic. His eyes would change from their normal blue shade to a red one, as Naruto, turning towards Orochimaru, would say, I'll kill you. And in this moment, he would phase through the ground, jumping up right next to Orochimaru, as he would land a punch square to Orochimaru's face, sending Orochimaru flying back, with him wiping the blood off, saying,
That's a neat trick, boy. Before then shooting towards the direction of Naruto and trying to actually just seal the Nine Tails chakra. But Naruto phases right through him, landing a knee to his face as Orochimaru would be sent flying into the air, and Naruto lets out a roar, rushing towards the direction of Orochimaru as he claws at his face, tearing the fake disguise that Orochimaru has on, before Naruto would land blow after blow after blow on his stomach, and then finally kick him back onto the ground, with Orochimaru using the substitution jutsu to evade that last blow. Suddenly, Orochimaru would have a bunch of snakes shoot towards the direction of Naruto, but Naruto with nothing but a roar would shoot them flying back, as Orochimaru's eyes would widen, thinking, what the? This is only the power of the Kyuubi. He doesn't even have one tail. What is this? But in this moment, Naruto would shoot towards the direction of Orochimaru with his full power blazing and going absolutely crazy. Naruto would scratch, claw, and land blow after blow after blow on Orochimaru, who would be too stunned to even react. Orochimaru eventually would be forced to retreat, but Naruto's not going to make that easy by any means, shape, or form. He would blitz before Orochimaru, as Orochimaru would try landing an attack on Naruto, but Naruto would phase through it, as from here, Naruto would go on to hit Orochimaru in the back, slam him with a kick, take out two kunais before then like straight up just stabbing them into Orochimaru's back, and Orochimaru would let out like a screeching pain as he's like, what the heck is this kid? With Naruto literally not being able to even be touched and him landing so many blows consecutively that Orochimaru was finally beginning to get worn down. Orochimaru would realize that if he doesn't escape the situation immediately, this could end fatal for him. So Orochimaru begrudgingly would have to leave before saying, goodbye, Sasuke. He would leave the area and Naruto would just sit there as he screeches with a roar, and Naruto starts destroying trees upon trees, just destroying the forest. A large explosion could be heard as Naruto finally would focus his attention on Sakura and Sasuke and begin rushing at them by crawling on the ground by running on the ground on all fours towards them. Naruto would get closer and closer before Sakura would scream out, Naruto, stop! And Naruto would pause in that moment as he finally realizes who he's charging at, and Naruto stops, and with all of his willpower, he would force himself to not rush at Sakura as he falls into unconsciousness, and Sakura is there left to hold on to not just Naruto, but Sasuke as well. Just like in the original, she would be tasked with protecting them, as she would grab Naruto and Sasuke, picking them both up, taking them to a cave where eventually she would begin treating both of them with nothing but damp towels, as she would try to make sure that both of them wake up. She knows that Naruto's okay, but she's unsure what's happening with Sasuke. Eventually a couple hours would pass as finally Naruto would begin showing signs of that he might be waking up soon. And Sakura would set up a couple of traps as more hours would go by, and eventually the Sound Genin would finally end up arriving. The confrontation would go down so similar to the original that I don't even think that I should even go over this. Obviously Lee would arrive, the rest of the rookie 12 would end up arriving as well, alongside Neji and Tenten, who were watching Lee fight, and eventually after a bunch of back and forth between the Sound Genin and all these ninjas, Sasuke would wake up, overpowering them with the power of the curse mark, as he would show just how powerful he is, and Naruto would wake up last minute to witness Sasuke's power, with him being stunned at how powerful Sasuke seems to have gotten. Naruto would be questioning where in the world he got this power from, and if it could have had anything to do with that guy that they met in the forest, but without having too much time to think about it, Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto would rush towards the Genin Tower, where they would end up finally having some time to rest, and by them I mean Naruto and Sasuke obviously. This would lead to the 1v1 battles after a full day, meaning that this time around they get just enough time to rest and be a little bit recovered, with Naruto having most of his chakra already returned, if not actually all of it, right? This would lead to Naruto versus Kiba. Now in the original, obviously we know that Naruto won through some very, strange means, but this time around Naruto's not going to be needing anything like that. He's not going to be needing some cheap tricks, and he's definitely not going to shart in Kiba's face. This time around Naruto's going to do it by his own willpower, by his own strength, and he's not going to be needing anyone's help. So Naruto and Kiba would begin, as Kiba would immediately begin mocking Naruto, saying, "It's Mr. Nudity himself. How's the little beast of the leaf doing?" With Naruto looking at him and saying, "Hey, I was just a kid back then. Leave me alone. It's gotten bigger since then." With Kiba laughing, and a couple of the people from the classroom that actually saw that are present would let out a chuckle, with even Iruka in the stands chuckling at that thought. As from here, Naruto, looking towards the direction of Kiba, would say, "You're gonna pay for that, Kiba." With Kiba saying, "Yeah, and who's gonna make me, because I know you aren't, Mr. Weakest in the classroom." Naruto would grit his teeth before then thinking to himself that he probably shouldn't say anything. As from here, Kiba would immediately rush towards the direction of Naruto, saying, "You ready, Akamaru?" As he would run in towards Naruto, but Naruto would straight up just disappear from that area, with Kiba being like, "Where is he?" And Naruto popping up right behind him saying, "Over here!" As he would land a punch square on Kiba's face, sending Kiba flying back to the ground, with Kiba getting up and wiping his face, saying, "Looks like you're not as weak as I thought, Naruto. That doesn't mean you're gonna win, so don't get your hopes high." With Naruto saying, "Trust me, with you, I don't need to get my hopes high, cause you're nothing but an inconvenience." Kiba would open his eyes as he would say, "Akamaru, let's do it." And so, Akamaru would use his beast transformation ability as he would transform into Kiba, and they would use the Fang over Fang on Naruto, rushing at him as they would spiral out of control. But Kiba would realize one thing: he can't land a single blow on Naruto. That dang phasing ability is making it too hard for him to even touch him. With Naruto saying, "What's the matter, Kiba? I thought I was the weakest in the class. How come you can't hit even the weakest one in the class? What does that make you, huh?" As he would laugh, and Kiba would say, "Shut up, Naruto." But since Naruto saw that Kiba stopped just for a moment to try to get him to be quiet, Naruto instantly would phase through the ground as he would shoot back up right in front of Kiba before then landing a devastating uppercut, which would completely knock Kiba out and send him straight to a stretcher where he would be tended for by the ambulance. From here, Naruto would have a huge smile on his face as he would say, "Believe it! I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm gonna be the next Hokage." As from here, everybody who just saw this take place would have mixed reactions. Some people would have a smile on their face, others would have a grimace expression, and other people would say that they still hate him either way and that they're going to be the one to crush him. With Neji thinking that his abilities are very interesting, that it's going to make for a very difficult fight if he has to go up against him. But he'll figure out some way to counter him. As from here, Naruto would make his way towards the stands where he would run into Hinata, who would actually end up offering Naruto some ointment, telling him that, she hopes that he'll accept her gift, with Naruto saying, "Thanks, Hinata," taking the ointment before then going towards where his team is at, and eventually the rest of the battles would take place. Sasuke would end up wiping the floor with his opponent this time around way easier than he did Canon, and when Hinata would be in the middle of the battle between Neji, Naruto watching all this just couldn't bear to watch this take place any longer. So Naruto would actually have ended up phasing in front of Hinata and actually tanking the blow that was about to be landed. And this would stun everybody, Chunin included, who weren't even able to react fast enough. Naruto just wasn't going to be able to bear watching this happen any longer, and he would look at Neji as a little bit of blood would come out of his mouth as he would say, "I can't believe you were willing to kill your own cousin. If I end up fighting you in these battles, I promise I'll kill you." With Neji scoffing with a smirk on his face, and Hinata being like, "Naruto-kun," as she would just pass out, and Naruto would rush towards her with him spitting out a bit of blood, and the Jonins basically saying that that was reckless, that they were going to get in the way either way, but Naruto says he wouldn't have had it any other way, with him basically walking with Hinata towards the infirmary room where she would finally be treated, and Naruto would just sit by her bedside before thinking to himself that there's no way Neji was going to be willing to do something like that. He can't believe that Neji was willing to go so far. And Naruto vows to take out Neji in his next battle in the Chunin exams 1 month from now. But Hinata still being unconscious, Naruto decides that he better go train to make sure that there's nothing that Neji's going to be able to do to one-up him. And so, Naruto would begin his training journey, rushing towards Kakashi as he would ask him if he has anything that he can help him train with. Kakashi would end up telling Naruto that for this month, he's going to have to train on his own because he's going to be working with Sasuke, helping him control that ability and teaching him something else. With Naruto being like, "Come on, Kakashi, you're the one that's been training me basically my whole life. You can't just up and leave me for Sasuke." With Kakashi saying, "I'm not going to up and leave you. I told the Ibisu sensei to help train you while I was gone. With Naruto saying, that guy? You're putting me with that guy? As Naruto would eventually, just like he does in the original, end up using his sly jutsus to get away from him and basically make it so that he doesn't have to train with him. Naruto for the following 3 days would decide that whatever, he's just gonna train on his own, thinking that he's gotten so much stronger and being super cocky because of the fact that now Naruto feels like he can just hit whatever, he can fight whoever he wants, and he won't be losing. Naruto even feels uber confident. He even feels like he's gonna be able to defeat Neji. So Naruto over here is just acting like a big shot, a hot shot, and Naruto is gonna definitely be needing to have a reality check in the next couple of days. And who better to do that than the legendary Sannin, Jiraiya sensei. Naruto, just like he would in the original, would end up bumping into Jiraiya near the water springs. And when Naruto bumps into him, he would basically end up calling him a pervert and saying that he's a weirdo, just like you guys would all be expecting. And Jiraiya, being the person that he is, would try to defend himself, being like, what? How do you not know who I am? I'm Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin. With Naruto looking at him with a bored expression, just being like, never heard of you. But I'm sure if I looked you up in the bingo book, I'd probably find you in the pervert section. Get out of here before I tell those girls over there what you're actually up to. And Jiraiya would turn to Naruto before then saying, hey, hold on there, kid. You're not just gonna disrespect one of the legendary Sannin. How about I prove it to you? I win, you keep your mouth shut. You win, you can go ahead and yap on whoever you want. Plus, I'll even give you all the money in my pocket. With Naruto saying, really? Really now? I have been wanting to go get some ramen recently, so you got a deal, pervy geezer. From here, Jiraiya would have a scowly expression on his face as he would say, stop calling me that, kid. And so they would make their way towards the training field where Jiraiya would look at Naruto and wish him luck, saying that he hopes he can at least land one punch. But Naruto would laugh before then saying he doesn't think he could land one punch on him. And Jiraiya would just look at Naruto before then bursting into laughter, with Naruto saying, come try it. And Jiraiya would say, fine, rushing towards the direction of Naruto before he would throw a punch square at Naruto's face for disrespecting him. But what he would realize is that the punch would hit nothing but air, and Naruto would be right behind him. Jiraiya turns around rapidly, realizing that this kid's fast, as Naruto was about to throw a sweet cake at Jiraiya, but Jiraiya would dodge, and with his hair, he would cover his body so that he wasn't actually able to be hit by Naruto's next punch that he would throw. From here, Naruto and Jiraiya would be in a standstill battle where Naruto can't seem to land a single hit on Jiraiya, but Jiraiya can't land a hit on Naruto because of just how fast he is and how unpredictable his abilities are. But Jiraiya, being the master combatant that he is, would eventually end up realizing what's going on with Naruto and make it up in his head how exactly he's going to hit him, saying that he's probably just going to need to use some sort of distraction and hit him whenever he's off guard. He's going to have to be quick, but he's going to have to land that ability. As from here, Naruto would be like trying his best to land a hit on Jiraiya, with Jiraiya dodging, and eventually Jiraiya catching one of Naruto's arms and holding it still, with Naruto phasing through, Jiraiya pretending to go for a knee to the stomach, as Naruto would phase right through, and just like he usually does, since Naruto is a sort of straightforward fighter, would appear right behind Jiraiya and go in for a punch. But it would be in this moment that Jiraiya would spin so incredibly fast that Naruto didn't even have time to react, and in the palm of his hand would be a small Rasengan, which he would slam into Naruto's stomach, sending him flying out and unconscious. From here, Jiraiya, looking at Naruto, would say he still has a lot to learn, and Naruto realizes that he's not exactly as strong as he thought he was. Looks like people can still land blows on him. Jiraiya would tell Naruto that the problem with him is that even though he has that incredible ability, seems to him that he doesn't exactly know how to use it. Plus, he's too straightforward of a fighter. If only he incorporated that ability for some funky cool ways of battle, it would probably be useful, but the way that he uses it, it's nothing but a waste. Naruto looks at Jiraiya and says, hey, don't you dare talk to me like that, old man. What do you know about it? You don't know anything. You're just a dirty old geezer, Naruto would say, with Jiraiya looking at Naruto and bursting into laughter, with Jiraiya saying that he is a legendary Sannin after all, so he shouldn't be too discouraged. And so Naruto would say, fine, you're a legendary Sannin or whatever. Hey, how about this? You're strong and you just came up with a cool way to make me stronger. How's about you train me? Jiraiya would look at him and say, nah, I don't got time for this, kid. With Naruto saying, come on, I could become an incredible ninja if I just had somebody to train me. Kakashi was supposed to, but he went off with Sasuke. He thinks that he's gonna get stronger than me. Well, I'll make sure that he doesn't. Believe it, Naruto would say, with Jiraiya realizing that Naruto has a fire. Plus, that crazy ability does need some honing in on it. So Jiraiya, looking at Naruto, would say, fine kid, I'll train you. With Naruto saying, let's go. And Jiraiya saying, but first, I'm hungry, so get me some food. As from here, Naruto would have to take Jiraiya and himself out for some ramen before then making their way towards the training grounds, where Jiraiya would begin to teach Naruto a couple of things about his ability, wondering how it works, what happens with it, and Naruto would explain that the way that it actually works is that Naruto phases through everything, meaning his clothes. So whenever Naruto uses that ability, normal clothes actually end up falling off of him. So he had to get this special stuff made for him. He still doesn't understand how it works, but it's imbued with some sort of chakra that almost makes it seem like that stuff is basically a skin. Jiraiya would be like, okay, interesting, talking about like just some crazy way of explaining it so that it works. But honestly, I have no idea how Mirio's clothes actually stays on him. So hey, that's neither here nor there. So yeah. Anyways, Jiraiya from here would go on to tell Naruto that he should probably work on some sort of cool move where he pretends to go for one thing but actually goes for another, similar to what he did when he was actually landing the blows on Naruto. Plus, he should be more unpredictable. He should use the ability of jumping from the ground way better than that, and he should also do this, and that. And Naruto would be like, okay, that's a lot, with Jiraiya saying, then we better get to work. As from here, they would train for the entire month, with Naruto getting a massive power boost. He would now finally begin to learn how to use it way better and be way more unpredictable with his abilities, as eventually, Naruto would finally have ended up learning how to actually phase things through specific parts of his body, through heavy, extraneous training with Jiraiya. He was actually doing the most just to learn this, and Naruto was not going to leave this month of training until he had mastered how to actually phase through things individually. So they would start by getting Naruto to phase through walls by phasing individual parts of his body, and once Naruto was able to get the hang of it, he got the hang of it. He's not the best at it yet, but he's able to do it so well that, you know, people who aren't like the fastest aren't gonna, people who are like, if you're not incredibly fast, you won't be able to land a blow on Naruto. But if you're like on that, like, on those like Raikage levels of speed, you're gonna straight destroy Naruto. But yeah, that's what Naruto would learn. And also Naruto would have pestered Jiraiya about trying to learn that Rasengan thing that he used on him, but Jiraiya would say that for now he should probably focus on one thing, with Naruto also learning the summoning jutsu during this time, and also a bit of taijutsu combat skills from Jiraiya. Because of this, Naruto would feel more than ready for his battle between Naruto and between his battle against Neji. And so we're gonna just straight up time skip straight to that moment. Hajime, the proctor would say, as Neji would turn to Naruto and say, let's see if you're able to do any good on that promise you made, with Naruto saying, oh, I promise I will, before then rushing towards the direction of Neji, and Neji would throw a palm strike at Naruto saying, you fool, although he's probably gonna go in for a surprise attack from underneath, so I'll have to keep my guard up. And Neji would go in for a palm strike, bracing himself for impact, getting ready to straight up dodge any attack that comes from the bottom, but it just wouldn't happen. Naruto would stay right in front of him, and Neji's Byakugan can track him, but it's almost as if his hand literally disappeared. His Byakugan would see that. Eventually it reappeared, and then the different parts of his body would disappear as well. So Neji would punch straight or use a gentle fist attack straight through Naruto, as Naruto would go in for a headbutt on Neji before then spinning mid, going in for a headbutt, or sorry, not in for a headbutt, but Naruto would go in for like a fake headbutt, as Neji would like close his eyes bracing for impact, and then Naruto would land a blow on Neji's stomach, sending Neji flying back, with Neji going into the ground and shooting back up before then landing an uppercut, sending Neji flying up into the air, as Naruto would chase up after him, and using a jutsu that Jiraiya would have taught him during that time that they were training, Naruto would say, Wind style, Gale Palm, landing another blow on Neji's chest, sending him crashing into the ground where he would create a crater, and Naruto would just be left standing there, with everybody absolutely stunned to have found out that Naruto got this powerful in just a short amount of time. As from here, Naruto would look at Hinata in the stands, giving her a thumbs up and a smile, as he would go back to his seat, and eventually, the events of the Chunin exams would play out like they do in canon. Again, I'm not here to tell you guys guys the story of Naruto, but tell you guys the changes. Jumping back into the story, once the changes start going down, we would jump right into the point of view of Naruto as he would be running through the forest, making his way past Temari and Kankuro, eventually catching up to Sasuke and Gaara, who were in the middle of a full-fledged fight, Gaara having transformed into his Shukaku state, and Naruto chasing after Sasuke just to make sure that he's okay. In this moment, Naruto would jump in between Sasuke and Gaara, grabbing onto Sasuke before Sasuke could actually get hit by Gaara's attack that probably might have killed him, as Sasuke would look at Naruto and say, "Dang it, Naruto, what are you doing? I had him," with Naruto saying, "No, you didn't, you fool," and basically calling him a baka, before then rushing towards the direction of Gaara and going on to land a couple of blows on him, which Gaara just was unable to do a thing about because Gaara was just too slow to actually hit Naruto when he was using his phasing abilities. So Naruto would begin beating down on Gaara, eventually frustrating him to the point where Gaara would transform into Shukaku. Gaara and Naruto would stare at each other, as Naruto would say, "Well, looks like I have no other choice," before then biting his thumb and saying, "Summoning Jutsu!"
A large Gamabunta would appear in the center of the battlefield as Naruto, standing on top of him, would say, "Gamabunta, help me take out the trash." Gamabunta at this moment would say, "Don't order me around, kid," as Naruto would say, "Come on, can't you just help me out this once?" As Gamabunta would say, "You're lucky Gamakichi's here." At this moment, he would go on to pretty much try to face off against Shukaku's gigantic, like, sand one-tails mode, and Naruto, seeing this take place, would be stunned at how powerful the one-tails is. Naruto would think to himself that if this is the power of the one-tails, he wonders how strong the nine-tails itself could have been. It'd be at this point that Gamabunta would tell Naruto that it's extremely hard to fight against Shukaku without being able to actually grip onto him or do some real damage. He would go on to tell Naruto to think of something and use the transformation jutsu. And so, much like in the original, Gamabunta would turn into a gigantic version of the Nine-Tails as he would get close enough for Naruto to phase right through Shukaku and make his way right next to Gaara. Sand would try to rush at Naruto, trying to attempt to use the Sand Coffin Jutsu on him, but it just wouldn't work, and Naruto ultimately would be able to wake Gaara out of his stupor, with Gaara falling to the ground with all of Shukaku's sand dropping, and Naruto and Gaara both falling to the ground. It'd be in this moment that Naruto would phase his body to avoid taking any damage in this moment, and as soon as he would land, Naruto would rise back to the surface just like Mirio does, because remember, the power does work similar to that. So, with that being the case, Naruto landing in front of Gaara would ask Gaara why in the world he started using a power like that to fight against Sasuke. With Gaara looking at Naruto, anger in his eyes and fear as well, thinking that he was probably gonna kill him and say, "Just do it, Naruto." It'd be at this point that Naruto, looking towards Gaara, would say, "Do what? What, you think I'm gonna kill ya? Yeah, you destroyed half of our village, but that doesn't mean I'm just gonna go around killing people." It'd be at this point that Gaara would be stunned, and Naruto starts spouting his Talk no Jutsu to Gaara in a way more unethical way than he would have done in the original. The scene would be a lot less, sincere, and it definitely wouldn't hit close to home. It actually turned into a bit of a comedy scene. Gaara, realizing that Naruto was a Nine-Tails, was a Jinchuriki himself, and didn't let that affect how he acts, would be so inspired by this that this would go on to pretty much spur the change that Gaara would have had in the original timeline. With this happening, Gaara's siblings would arrive to help Gaara up, taking him back to the Sand Village, where we would then see the cleanup of the entire village and the aftermath events that happen afterwards. That said, the following arc would begin to take place and we would get the Tsunade Retrieval mission, with Naruto and Jiraiya going off on their mission, and much like in the original, Naruto continuing to pester Jiraiya about how to use that jutsu that he would have used on him so long ago. Jiraiya, looking at Naruto, would say, "What do you mean so long ago, kid? That was literally a couple of weeks ago." Naruto at this point would smile, saying that for him that felt like an eternity, as Jiraiya would facepalm, telling Naruto that if he's really going to keep bothering him like this, then he guesses he has no choice but to teach him. He would tell Naruto that this is going to be an incredibly difficult jutsu to learn, and he would ask Naruto if he's ready to take on that challenge, do something that's gonna make him uncomfortable and gonna be extremely hard. Naruto would look at Jiraiya with a dumbfounded expression, saying, "Jiraiya, Do you have any idea how long it took me before I could phase through things without losing my clothes and being called the village pervert? I mean, for crying out loud, some people actually started telling legends and myths about me. It's not like I'm new to trying to learn something incredibly difficult. Jiraiya would start laughing at Naruto, telling him that he's such a killer and he's glad he brought him along. It'd be at this point that he would teach him the basics of the Rasengan, as he would start Naruto off with the iconic water balloon. It'd be at this point that Naruto would try channeling his chakra to pop it, and he would actually be successful this time around rather quickly, considering that a lot of the basics that original Naruto would have struggled with would be something that wouldn't be so hard for this version of Naruto, considering the fact that he has a literal 2-year of training with Kakashi that he would have polished his basics up with. So Naruto's chakra control was just way better, meaning that he was able to pretty much skip to the ball part where he's able to he's trying to pop like this rubber ball, which obviously is a lot more difficult. That's definitely going to be taking him a lot more time, because I can still see that being incredibly difficult, even for somebody who knows how to control their chakra. So we would end up getting a scene where Naruto's inside of a hotel room trying to destroy this ball, when all of a sudden, he would hear a couple of knocks at the door. Naruto, hearing this, would get annoyed, thinking, who is this? He would think it's probably house cleaning or Jiraiya coming home after having been a perv with those women he was with. He would open the door only to be greeted by Itachi and Kisame, and Naruto, seeing them, would jump back immediately, as Naruto, without thinking it twice, would phase through the ground, not being dumb enough to just stand there and let whoever these two try to do something to him. They looked dangerous, and Naruto's stranger danger meter was going off like crazy. It'd be at this point that Naruto, phasing to the lower levels of the actual hotel, would run out through the front door, with Itachi looking out the window and Pierce basically pointing at Kisame, with both of them using the body flicker jutsu to teleport outside. It'd be at this point that Kisame, seeing Naruto run away, would begin to chase after him and would go on to pretty much slash at Naruto with his sword, trying to pretty much give him a warning cut, like do heavy damage to get him to like stop running, maybe cut a whole leg off. But when this would happen, his blade would go right through him, and it'd be at this point that Itachi, seeing what had just happened, would immediately get a deja vu scene and start thinking about Obito and the night that he would have ended up killing his entire clan. Him seeing this would tell Kisame, wait Kisame, as Kisame would stop, asking Itachi why the heck he told him to stop. It'd be at this point that Itachi would say that even though this brat is young, they need to approach this with the utmost caution, saying that the ability to phase through things is not an ability that should be taken lightly. As such, Itachi and Kisame would approach this from a different strategy, but unfortunately for them, chasing Naruto and wasting so much time talking about this would ultimately end up leading to Jiraiya arriving on the scene and helping Naruto out. Unfortunately, in this timeline, he wouldn't be able to use the Toad Mouth Jutsu like he would in the original, so this actually means that Itachi doesn't have to use his Mangekyo, which is good for him. But all the while this is happening, we would essentially end up getting Itachi and Kisame staring at Jiraiya, with Itachi wondering to himself what he should do. Should he face off against him, or should he simply retreat? Him knowing that the best option would probably be to retreat, considering that he's actually working with the Leaf Village, and we know this, or technically I would have found this out from the Swag-Kage video, but hey, that's just me. Anyways, point being, at this point, Sasuke would make his option very clear. So he would run it at Itachi, having caught a glimpse of him, and scream, Itachi! He would charge up a Chidori as rushing towards the direction of Itachi. He would try to hit him with it, but Itachi, completely ignoring him, would simply turn to Kisame and say, let's go. The both of them body flickering out of that situation would pretty much end up dodging Sasuke's Chidori, with Sasuke slamming it into the ground, being pissed with a bunch of dust rising into the air, and Naruto looking to Sasuke asking if that was who he thinks he was. Sasuke, looking at Naruto through gritted teeth, would nod, as Naruto, looking towards him, would say, don't worry, he'll get another chance. It'd be at this point that Sasuke would get extremely upset, start pouting and stuff like that, saying he was gonna kill him, but Jiraiya, cutting him off, would say no, he wasn't, that if Itachi truly wanted to, he could have killed him. He would ask Sasuke what he thinks that puny attack's gonna be doing to someone like Itachi, saying that if he ran at him with that, he would simply grab his wrist and stop the trajectory of that actually hitting him. Sasuke, hearing that, would scoff at this, as he would walk off and return to the village. village. It'd be at this point that he would go back with Mike Guy, who would have arrived as some backup or a reconnaissance ninja or whatever it was that happened. And so we would end up getting Naruto advancing on the mission with Jiraiya as they eventually end up stumbling into Tsunade in a bar. And much like in the original, we would end up getting Tsunade bad-mouthing the Hokage, to which leads to Naruto not being able to control himself and his emotions and, being the kind of person who wears his heart on his sleeve. He would quickly say something about it, being like, "What are you talking about? How dare you badmouth the Hokage, you drunken fool? You're over here wasting your life away, being called literally the legendary loser, all the while those men sacrificed their lives for the village. If you want to rot away inside of this garbage bar, then be my guest. But as far as I'm concerned, we don't need some deadbeat loser like you running our village." He would walk off as Tsunade, smashing her fist into the table, would say, "What was that, you damn brat?" And Naruto would see Tsunade's aura begin rising as we get a sort of comedic but also tense moment, and Jiraiya would say, "Calm down, Tsunade," with Tsunade saying, "Don't tell me to calm down. He just disrespected me. You want to take this outside, you brat?" she would say, as Naruto, turning to Tsunade, would say, "Gladly." And so we would get Naruto facing off against Tsunade, with Tsunade smiling and telling Naruto that if he can land even one blow or even come close to it, she'll return to that stinking village. But if he doesn't, then not only does he have to take back everything he said, but he has to pay off her entire bill today. Naruto, hearing this, would say that he accepts the deal, and Jiraiya, hearing that, would be like, "Oh, you fool, what did you get yourself into?" And so the battle would begin. Tsunade would start everything off with one finger smashing the ground in front of them, as Naruto, seeing this, would be caught off guard by the earthquake. Tsunade would rush in at Naruto, trying to land a flick on him to essentially shut him up, knowing that if she full-on punches him, she could straight up kill the kid. She would do this, but her blow would go right through Naruto, who, pretending to be shocked by what she was doing, would catch her off guard, turning intangible in his head, as in a moment, Naruto would proceed to throw a blow at her stomach, which, her seeing this, would react to this, with Jiraiya thinking, "Come on, kid, I've told you to be more unpredictable." But before he could finish that sentence, Naruto would smile as he would headbutt Tsunade in her chest. It'd be in this moment that Jiraiya's face would turn bright red, and Naruto would get a cocky smile, knowing that he landed a blow. But as he looks up, he would see Tsunade say, "You pervy little brat," as she would clobber Naruto on the top of the head, knocking dude out, who wasn't even expecting her to take things that far, and Jiraiya would burst out into laughter, saying, "That's my knuckleheaded ninja for ya." He would look at Tsunade, saying that she failed and she knows what this means. She would say, yeah, Jiraiya." She would say that she might have taken things a bit too far. It'd be at this point that she would go on to tell Jiraiya the truth about Orochimaru's offer, and the following day we would end up getting the Orochimaru Kabuto situation. She would go over to Orochimaru, beginning to try to heal quote-unquote Orochimaru's eyes, but Kabuto, seeing through the deception, would end up using his chakra scalpels to create some distance between Orochimaru and Tsunade. It'd be at this point that the battle would ensue, and Tsunade would begin to get pieced up by Kabuto. However, Naruto, coming into the battle with a little boo-boo on the top of his head, the dude had a literal bump from the blow, would rush in at Kabuto as he would tell him to get away from her. It'd be at this point that Kabuto, smiling, would end up saying to make him. And so, Naruto would grin, saying, "I thought you'd never ask," as he would rush in towards the direction of Kabuto, with Kabuto trying to slice him with a chakra scalpel, and Naruto phasing right through it. Kabuto, knowing that Naruto had these abilities thanks to having seen the Chunin exams, would end up smiling as he knows how straightforward Naruto's fighting style is. But things have changed since the last time they met, and Naruto would go on to do a very unorthodox move, spinning mid-air, literally doing a front flip, phasing, and then kicking Kabuto in the face, as that would have been such a stupid unorthodox move that it would actually catch Kabuto off guard. Kabuto would get a mouthful of Naruto's foot in his face as he would be kicked back, and Naruto, holding onto his cheek, would tell Naruto that he's improved quite a lot. Naruto, in this point, would go on to say that that's not all, as 15 different shadow clones would appear from the ground and they would all rush at Kabuto. Now just imagine how terrifying it would be to have a ton of different Narutos rushing at you, who all can turn specific parts of their bodies intangible and literally just punch you from whatever angle it is. This is the equivalent of being blindfolded and then proceeding to being punched by like 15 different people all at once, and you can't dodge them all, no matter how hard you try. So Kabuto would proceed to get absolutely stomped by Naruto, as Orochimaru, seeing that Naruto had already taken care of his subordinate Kabuto, would decide that it's probably best to retreat. And so, Kabuto and Orochimaru would leave the area, with Naruto and Tsunade, as well as Jiraiya, I forgot to mention him, returning back to the Leaf Village. It'd be at this point that I could see Tsunade beginning to heal Kakashi, who, just like in the original, would have been one-tapped by Itachi Tsukiyomi. And so, we end up getting Sasuke, who in this timeline, because he never got Tsukiyomi'd by Itachi as well, not being in the hospital. So we actually gloss over the Sasuke-Naruto hospital fight, and we're actually able to jump straight into the Sasuke Retrieval arc. Why? Because there's no way that Sasuke, after having that horrible encounter with Itachi, where he wasn't even able to show how strong he was, and even so, he knows deep down that he still wasn't strong enough, knowing that Naruto's been training with the legendary son and advancing so much, and he's just been sitting there staying stagnant, getting weaker day by day, all the while Naruto's being targeted by his own big brother, and he's being ignored by him. The insecurities, the rage, the hatred, they would all boil over, and they would lead to Sasuke thinking that his best course of action would be to go find his own Sanin to train under. That said, he would go off with Orochimaru, and much like in the original, Naruto would end up going with his team, being trapped in Jirobo's Earth-style jutsu, with the team breaking out like in the original, as we would then get the Sound 4 battles versus the Konoha squad, until we eventually get the meeting between Kimimaro and Naruto. In this timeline, this battle is going to be going so much more different than in the original, and the reason that I'm saying that is because remember, when Kimimaro was unable to actually hit Rock Lee, that's when the battle was completely just flipped on its head, and Kimimaro went from absolutely destroying Lee to all of a sudden getting packed up by Lee's drunken fist style. In this timeline, I could see Naruto's unorthodox movements as well as his capability of phasing through things to actually catch Kimimaro off guard. So he would actually piece Kimimaro up, leading him to actually taking so much damage that he would have to awaken the Curse Mark stage 2. And once this would happen, the tide of the battle would instantly start to change. His speed would actually start to slightly overwhelm Naruto's clones, and every now and again, one attack would actually land on them. This would lead to Naruto's clones being decimated, and eventually Gaara would arrive to tell Naruto that he can go find Sasuke, that he'll handle this. Naruto, seeing Gaara, would smile as he would say, "Don't die, Gaara," and he would rush off as Naruto would finally come face to face with Sasuke at the Valley of the End. It'd be at this point that Sasuke, turning to Naruto with a psychotic smile on his face, would turn to him with a curse mark appearing on Sasuke's face, and Naruto saying, "Sasuke, you're using that power again? Are you kidding me? Did you already forget what Kakashi told you?" But Sasuke would say, "You fool, Naruto. Do you really believe that I'm gonna limit myself to my own power when I have this much strength at my fingertips? All I have to do is call upon Orochimaru, and instantly I grow so much stronger. There's not a thing you, Kakashi, or even the new Kage is gonna be able to do to stop me. I'm gonna train with Orochimaru. I'm gonna get stronger to kill Itachi, and you're not gonna get in my way." He would rush in towards Naruto, punching him in the face, but much like he expected, his fist would go right through. Naruto, looking at Sasuke, would tell him that he's not gonna accept that, and if he intends to try to fight back against him, well then he's just gonna have to break every bone in his body. It'd be at this point that the battle would begin, and Sasuke, in the state that he was currently in, there was just no way he was going to be fast enough to catch Naruto's phasing abilities off guard. He would try, but as much as he did, he would fail, beginning to get clobbered by Naruto, who at this point wasn't even using clones. He was simply trying to establish dominance. But Sasuke, seeing this, activating his two-stage Sharingan, would proceed to actually begin to track Naruto's movements, and having been a part of seeing Naruto's unorthodox fighting style, would develop some sort of counters to it. This would lead to a pretty entertaining battle in which Sasuke is actually holding his own decently against Naruto, until Naruto, getting tired of Sasuke after he would land one blow on Naruto successfully, would get back up, as Naruto, wiping some blood off of his lip, would tell Sasuke if he really wants to do this, with Sasuke simply doing the "come at me" sign, and Naruto getting pissed with his fangs growing, his claws sharpening, and his whiskers becoming more animalistic. It'd be at this point that Sasuke would say, "Look at you," once again relying on the power of the Nine Tails, "and you dare say something to..." But before he could finish that sentence, boom, a fist would be point blank in his face, sending him crashing across the valley of the end into the water. Sasuke sinking into the water for a second would actually fade out of consciousness, as Sasuke in a rage would push his curse mark to its utmost limit, and we would get the peak finale of the battle beginning right now. Sasuke, standing on one edge of the waterfall, would begin to charge an Onyx Chidori, telling Naruto to get out of his way, with Naruto charging a Vermilion Rasengan, and the both of them would clash. In this moment, Naruto wouldn't be foolish enough to actually clash with Sasuke, as we would get a Minato scene in which Naruto phases right through Sasuke, with Sasuke not expecting it, and Naruto landing a point-blank Rasengan on Sasuke's back. This would cause a massive explosion and would actually damage Sasuke's back so badly that if not for Tsunade's medical ninjutsu prowess, the dude would practically be paralyzed. So Naruto actually held to his promise of breaking every bone in his body to make him come back. With that said, and Naruto defeating Sasuke, the story goes in a couple of different ways. Now that Sasuke's in this predicament, this means that we're going to be able to completely skip over some arcs that originally we're just completely unable to. With one example obviously being the Tenshi Bridge arc. That just never happens. And because Sasuke's not quote unquote evil, this means that his encounter with the 5 Kage at the 5 Kage summit doesn't take place, which honestly, that's kind of sad, because looking back on that moment, that was so sick. That was straight peak Sasuke right there. The dude was practically aura farming the entire time he was there. Even when he was losing, he looked cool. But that glazing Sasuke aside, we're able to actually jump back into the story with what I believe would happen. So there's two routes we could go with Sasuke's training. One, he would stay in the village and train under Tsunade, who's actually able to teach him insane medical ninjutsu, showing him the 100 healings jutsu, or we're able to go down the path of him going with Naruto and Jiraiya and essentially trying to maybe learn Sage Mode in this timeline, because I don't know, having Sasuke will probably lead to less, wasted time because of just how Sasuke is. So those are pretty much the only two routes that I could see happening. But because I don't want Sasuke to get in between Naruto and Jiraiya's bonding time, I'm going to be saying that he remains in the village, trains under Kakashi, still developing the same lightning jutsu he does in the original, as well as learning incredible medical ninjutsu from Tsunade. This would lead Sasuke to actually gaining those monstrous punches that Sakura has in the original, and so when we're able to actually recoup and the group gets back together after the 3-year time skip, in which I'm not gonna lie, because Naruto goes off to train with Jiraiya, and personality wise Naruto is pretty much the same, I'm actually gonna be saying that in terms of his growth, Naruto doesn't learn any other jutsu apart from that big ball Rasengan that he would have returned. He doesn't learn the Rasen Shuriken, he definitely won't learn Sage Mode in this timeline, and instead the only thing that he actually would work on is gaining access to the one-tailed form of the Nine Tails and using that under his own control. He would have also mastered completely his Kamui technique, and his fighting style would be so similar to Obito's, with him actually incorporating tons of uppercuts into his fighting style and eye pokes and just being able to go through his opponents and fool them. He's just such an unpredictable fighter, and he ends up getting that whole, like, you guys know how there's some shinobi in the Naruto world where not knowing what abilities they have makes them extremely dangerous? Naruto would now fall under that category, and he's just a beast in and of its own right. Like, Naruto was an absolute monster. This phasing technique was able to lead Obito to keeping up with so many shinobi during the war, and able to make him one of the top 10 hitting characters in the entire verse by the time that we get to Shippuden. So there's just no way in my head that even if this is all that Naruto has, he's not easily the strongest member of Team 7 at this point. With that said, when Team 7 would actually get together after the 3-year time skip would be over, I can see two things actually happening. One, Naruto meets Konohamaru and he's like, "Look Naruto, I improved my jutsu." He would show him the sexy jutsu, as Naruto standing there would say, "Konohamaru, are you serious? You're still using these juvenile jutsus? It's been so long, I would have thought you might have matured by now." With Sakura and even Sasuke thinking, looks like he's changed. But then the fool would proceed to say, do it like this, and proceed to use his own like new and improved version of the sexy jutsu, creating like 50 different women who were all naked, with like Sasuke getting a nosebleed, Konohamaru getting a nosebleed, and Jiraiya passing out completely. Sakura would be like, you fool Naruto, you haven't changed at all, and punching Naruto in the head, or at least trying to. Naruto would hold the back of his hair, ruffling it up, as he would start laughing, saying that what's wrong with wanting to joke around with Konohamaru? It'd be at this point that Sasuke would start laughing, as he would ask Naruto how he's been and how much stronger he's gotten. Naruto would say that he's been great and he can't wait to ask him the same thing. It'd be at this point that the team would end up going to see Lady Tsunade, and once they would, Kakashi would end up pretty much having the bell test happen like in the original. However, in this timeline, it's just, dude, it's a massacre. It really is. Because it's not like he's only facing against Naruto, who easily would be able to take the bells by his own. His speed on loan makes him completely unmatchable. Oh yeah, that's the thing that Naruto improved. In the original, Naruto wasn't exactly a speed type, but now the dude will blitz you so fast that he'll have you wondering what the heck happened. Like, you'll be in the ground in 0.2 seconds. Have you guys seen that one video where that one like Marine guy, like he threatens this kid who's all like, he's like, boy, I used to train Bruce Lee. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but if you do, comment it down below. Anyways, point being, he also has to face off against Sakura, who can pretty much punch like a nuke, and Sasuke, who can do the same thing, also has been training with him for years and knows everything about the way that Kakashi fights. It's just absolutely insane what would happen, and I could just see Kakashi practically giving up right when it starts, with 3 different shinobi rushing at him, all about to land blows that could put him in the hospital for at least a month. Kakashi would leave the bells there on the ground, as he would body flicker out of that area and just say that he gives up. Tsunade, seeing this progress from all of them, would smile, saying that she's glad that they've gotten so strong. It'd be at this point that a crow would end up arriving and give her a letter. She reading this, the atmosphere in the entire area would change, as she would tell the team that she needs them to go on their mission, asking if they're ready to go on one. Naruto would nod, saying that he's always ready, and the rest of the team would do so as well. This is when the Sankaze Kage mission would happen, and the team would go on to find the cave in which the Akatsuki were hiding. Obviously, Sakura ends up healing Kankuro like in the original, with the assistance of Sasuke as well, who in this timeline is her boyfriend. Why did I mention that? Honestly, I don't even know, but I figured I would. Regardless though, they would end up pretty much fighting off against Deidara and Sasori, and bro, we saw what happened if Sasuke was to fight against Deidara one-on-one. Now just imagine giving him access to Naruto and Kakashi to aid him during this fight, because remember, originally that's what happened. Sakura and Lady Chiyo are able to handle Sasori on their own. So that fight would remain the same, with the only changes being that Naruto and Sasuke and Kakashi would fly after Deidara, who would be trying to use his clay bird to get away, but Sasuke, using his hawk summon, would proceed to actually fly off towards his direction, to which Sasuke, using a Chidori blade, would shoot it at Deidara, who, trying to use explosions to gain some distance, would fail. Ultimately, they would trap him, with Kakashi using his Mangekyo ability to phase one of his arms off of his body, and Naruto jumping off of the bird as he would fly towards the direction of Deidara, who would throw bombs at him, trying to catch him off guard. Naruto would phase through them, and Deidara, realizing that Naruto had the same powers that Obito did, because I mean that ends up being somebody who he works with. Actually, no, he hasn't worked with him yet. He becomes like a new member of the Akatsuki, doesn't he? I believe so. I'm not too sure. So let me know down below in the comments if that's the case. But regardless, he can't handle Naruto. The dude ends up getting one tapped by one of Naruto's punches, knocking him out, and with him already losing blood thanks to him losing an arm, we would end up getting Deidara being captured by the team, as they would end up questioning Deidara, who ends up pretty much deciding that he's not going to tell them squat and actually would try to kill himself. No, he wouldn't try, he would successfully do it. The dude proceeds to suicide bomb himself, with his last words being something about how art is an explosion or something like that. Regardless though, the team would get away using different methods respectively, with Kakashi and Sasuke both getting away by reverse summoning out of there, and Naruto simply phasing out of the range of the explosion. With it going on, this would actually affect the battlefield area where Sakura was at, and so with that being the case, this would actually make her battle a lot more difficult, but ultimately I can still see her winning, considering that originally Sasori let himself be defeated. So honestly, I just don't see any reason why that would change here. With that being the case, the Sankaze Kage arc would be over, and we would get the team returning to the village. having completed their first successful mission. With that being the case, Tsunade would end up using them as like one of her strongest teams, and so when we would finally get the update of the fact that Asuma ends up dying, obviously Team 7 would go on to support Team 10, which I believe is the name of their team, and going on to actually help out with defeating Kakuzu. Now remember, Kakuzu is an incredibly powerful opponent, but if in the original Naruto was capable of defeating him with the Rasen Shuriken, then I see no reason why we can't simply switch that with Kirin, an attack that I think is on the same amount of attack potency as the Rasen Shuriken. So Kakuzu would be dealt with just like he is in the original, and we're able to move on to the more sad section of the story, which is where Jiraiya would die, unfortunately, to the leader of the Akatsuki, quote unquote, Pain. In his final moments, Jiraiya would smile knowing that he was able to give Naruto some assistance when it came to his battle by giving him the code of the Makeout Tactics series. And all the while that was happening, we would end up getting the scene of Sasuke versus Itachi, because remember, I'm pretty sure those two fights actually happen on the same day. So here, what actually ends up taking place is that we would get Team 7 making their way towards the old Uchiha hideout, where Sasuke would have his final confrontation with Itachi. And much like I do in most of my other what ifs, the fight would be a straightforward one, with it ending just like it does in the original timeline. Now, as for what's actually going to be happening in terms of Kisame and the rest of the group, because just like in the original, he's not going to be letting Team Taka go through, so he's not going to be letting Team 7 go through to interfere also. He would try to stop them, but unfortunately for Kisame, I don't know, I just don't see any way for Kisame to make it out of this battle alive. Just think about it this way. I know that Kisame is an incredible fighter, but he's not just going up against Kakashi or just Naruto by himself, which granted would probably be a pretty interesting battle, at least for a bit until Naruto gets serious. But because Naruto, Kakashi, and Sakura are all there, who can pretty much just assist by like blowing up the battlefield, and you know, since Kisame is not used to fighting in a battlefield like that, that might catch him off guard, maybe, I'm not really too sure. But overall, I just don't see Kisame making his way out of this battle alive. And so the battle would begin, and Kisame, aiming his blade towards the direction of the team, would actually try to cut Naruto, but Naruto, phasing right through him, would proceed to get up close and personal and land an uppercut on Kisame. Kisame at this point would smile, saying, "So, it seems you've gotten even better with that phasing ability of yours. Well, let's see how you handle punching shark skin." It'd be at this point that he would try to fuse with Samehara, but before he could actually do that, Kakashi would use his Kamui to teleport that sword out of there. And before he could actually end up trying to do that, Naruto would proceed to take a kunai, knowing that this guy's extremely high level threat, and just slash Kisame's throat open. It'd be at this point that Kisame, holding his throat, would smile as blood begins gushing out, and falling to the ground, he would pretty much try worthing some mouths to Naruto, but because his throat was completely destroyed, he couldn't speak, and the team would simply walk over his body, with Kisame thinking of just how much he's grown. The last time he encountered him, he put his tail between his legs and ran, but this time, he ran right at him and showed exactly why he could even do that. Naruto wasn't even taking this fight seriously, and he was able to do that. So just imagine what he's going to be able to do right now when he encounters Obito, because keep in mind, Obito still tries to take Sasuke with him, so I can see no reason why Team 7 wouldn't try to interfere. And the way that I can see this event actually playing out would go something like this. "Sasuke, are you okay?" Naruto would ask, as Sasuke, looking at Naruto, having his entire view goal just being shook by what Itachi's last words would have been, would end up looking to Naruto as he would nod. Sakura would go over towards Sasuke's direction as she would begin hugging him, and Sasuke would close his eyes as he would cry into her chest and just be completely shocked at everything that's taking place. Out of nowhere, a man would appear as a portal would end up causing him to arrive, and he would begin clapping, saying, "Impressive, you defeated Itachi just like I thought you would. But now, I think it's time you learn the truth about Itachi." It would be at this point that the team, seeing this man would have just appeared, would be on high alert, and Naruto, rushing towards the direction of Obito, would try to attack him, seeing the same cloak that Itachi and Kisame were wearing, but Obito would phase right through him, as Naruto would be like, "What? He could do that!" And he would try to actually land an attack on Naruto, but he would do it right back. Obito at this point would say, "So you're the one who could phase through attacks. I've heard a lot about you, Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto at this point would would look at Obito as he would ask him how he's able to do that as well, asking if he too possesses that Kekkei Genkai. Obito from this point would laugh, saying if what he's talking about is a Sharingan, then yes. As it'd be at this point that Obito pretty much would rush in towards the direction of Sasuke, trying to grab him and teleport out, but Kakashi, using his Kamui, would end up actually trying to use it against Obito, as it would be in this moment that Obito would be caught off guard and would actually have to jump backwards. At this moment in time, Naruto would tap into the power of the Kyuubi as he would activate his One Tail state, saying, "I don't know what you're doing here, what your goals are, but you better get lost," as he would then end up giving chakra to Sasuke, telling him to get up already. As Sasuke in this moment would stand up, having been rejuvenated by Naruto's chakra, he would feel everything that's going through his mind because of the fact that they're linked via his chakra, and the team would all look at the direction of Obito. Naruto would say, "Sakura, you take some too," as he would join hands with her, giving her his chakra and telling Kakashi to use some as well. This would end up leading the entire team to being supercharged going into their fight against Obito, as Obito would smile underneath his mask, saying that this will be fun. And so, a battle between Obito and Naruto would begin. The two of them would rush at each other with feints and attacks, as they would both continue phasing through each other and stuff like that, with Naruto realizing the weakness of Obito's ability. He can't attack and phase at the same time, but Naruto can, and that's going to be a big deal moving forward. In case you haven't noticed, Naruto's permeation ability, or phase Kekkei Genkai, is actually much better than the one that Obito has. And you know, in the beginning of the story, I said it was Mirio's permeation, but it works like that, but it's actually Naruto's Kekkei Genkai. It stems from the Namikaze bloodline mixing with the Uzumaki. Seeing as we've seen so many random Kekkei Genkai spurt out, and all it takes is really one person being born with it, then passing it down to more members of that family, this is what Naruto's gonna be. He's gonna be the progenitor of this specific Kekkei Genkai, which is an ability that allows you to phase through things. Obviously, it's very annoying to learn and tedious to get the basics of, but once you learn it, it makes you kind of unstoppable. But regardless, in the middle of the fight, there's just no way that Kakashi won't be making the distinction that their eyes are linked, as he would call out Obito's name, and Obito in this moment would take his mask off. The whole team would watch as Kakashi would be stunned. It'd be at this point that Kakashi, using his Kamui ability, would make the battle even trickier for Obito than it already was, and Obito would begin to be pushed back. Obito in this moment would decide that it's probably for the best to simply leave this area, and so he would end up teleporting into the Kamui dimension. But Naruto, saying, "No, we can't let him get away," would tell Kakashi to use Kamui to teleport him in there. Kakashi would say that that's too dangerous, that he hasn't done something like that before, as Naruto would say, "I trust you, sensei." And so Kakashi, using his Kamui, would teleport Naruto into the dimension, with Obito seeing Naruto and being stunned that he would have resort to something like this. Naruto would say, "Now you're gonna fight me in here and them out there. Who do you choose to fight against?" Obito would smile as he would say a one-on-one doesn't sound too bad, and the two would rush in at each other. Obito in this point would try to land attacks on Naruto and use taijutsu skills to actually catch him off guard using, I was gonna say chakra rods, but he doesn't have those because he doesn't have access to the Rinnegan, so instead he's actually using other attacks, and he would be trying to get the better of Naruto. But I could actually see Naruto's phasing capability just completely overwhelming Obito, who never having to have faced somebody like him who doesn't actually work like in terms of his permeation capabilities just like his. This would catch Obito off guard, as the counters that would work for Obito aren't necessarily working for him. And while yes, he can potentially tag and hit Naruto a couple of times, Naruto's healing factor helps him way too much in this battle. And obviously we know that Obito's an absolute monster of a tank, considering he was able to tank like 3 things that normally kill people. We're going to be saying that this would be a long drawn out battle. Hours would pass in the real world as Kakashi, Sakura, and Sasuke would be waiting for Naruto to come back, and after hours would pass, Naruto would come out of the Kamui dimension, having no other method to return other than to literally just take Obito's Sharingan. That's what Naruto would do, which would lead to a super sick scene in which Naruto would have to transfer that eye into his own, and doing so would hurt a lot, But after doing so, he would arrive back into the real world using some chakra to mend the eye into his own system, as we would get Naruto arriving with Kamui and permeation. So at the end of the day, even though the video didn't start as what if Naruto had Kamui, technically speaking, it did end that way. So you can't even call it clickbait anymore. That said, the team would return back to the village with good news, and this is when they would find out about Jiraiya's death. It'd be at this point that Naruto would go on to only get even stronger, now having access to a Sharingan in his left eye, and going on to learn Sage Mode. There's just no freaking way that Pain is going to be able to defeat this team that the Leaf Village now has. And because of this, after Pain would be handled by this team, we would not end up getting the section in the story where the Akatsuki would go after Killer B, meaning that the 5 Kage Summon is never called, and actually instead of that, we get a potential arc in which the other villages try to attack the weakened Konoha. But because that doesn't happen in the original, I'm going to be holding off on that just because I don't know what would actually happen. Obviously, if another village tried to attack them, the Leaf would win because they have so many more powerful shinobi. But regardless of that, that's essentially where the story ends. They're able to just clap Pain, and with that threat gone, peace would actually prosper in the Leaf Village, with them becoming more technologically advanced, Naruto eventually marrying Hinata, and passing on his incredibly busted Kekkei Genkai ability to the next generations. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm going to be ending What If Naruto Had Kamui. Let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comments, and I know, after months of not posting another part of this series, I figured, hey, I've been doing a lot of commissions, and I didn't have the time to just make a full video off rip, so I decided let me go back to my channel and see what video I could actually drop for them today. So I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of a special treat for today. So with that being said, I love each and every single one of you guys. It has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.